your sleep story. My name is Johnny Midnight, and it's my great privilege to be the voice you listen to as you drift off tonight. Tonight, I'll share a tale about an unassuming man who works in a plant shop. Some know him as Waldo, but a select few recognize him as the Wizard of Sleep. I truly hope you enjoy the story. If you wish the video to conclude at a specific moment, YouTube provides a timer option in its settings. Also, remember to disable autoplay to prevent unwanted ads from upcoming. Now, completely let go of yourself as I tell you tonight's sleep story, The Wizard of Sleep. In a little village where it almost always rains, just around the corner from the bookshop of sleep, stands a splendid little plant shop. I say little, but it's actually astonishingly enormous once you truly get to know it. You see, it appears completely tiny and incredibly unassuming from the outside. It has a small sign above the door that simply reads plants, a little wooden door, and a modest window display. It's definitely in need of a fresh coat of paint. If you or I were to visit this charming little plant shop, it would probably know. Definitely take us several visits to truly realize what this unassuming shop in this unassuming village was home to. So, allow me to reveal that this plant shop is home to someone and something quite extraordinary. Some call him Waldo, but others, and by others, I mean only a very select few people in all of history, call him the Wizard of Sleep. Now that you have a little background, why don't we go and visit Waldo? Waldo is currently watering the plants. It's evening time, a cozy rainy autumn evening, and Waldo is doing what he loves. He moves from plant to plant, the shop is dimly lit, and he feels utterly present and at one with his plants. It's as if they are his friends. He knows each and every one of them. He has a history with these plants. Some he has known their entire lives since they were seeds. And some offer him more than just friendship, for Waldo is the one who over many years, some say centuries, created the elixir of sleep. I say elixir singular and not elixirs plural because there is more than one. An elixir helps one kind of person and another helps a different kind of person. You'll understand what I mean as the story unfolds. This shop is a cozy place filled to the brim with pots and plants of every kind. The dim lighting casts gentle shadows, making the greens of the leaves appear deeper, more vibrant. Round Waldo, the shop unfolds into a series of small rooms, each a secret garden waiting to be discovered. Here, a cluster of lavender plants exudes a calming scent. There, a group of chamomile flowers nestles together, their white petals closed in sleep, as if dreaming. Then there are the larger plants, like the Swiss cheese plant and various beautiful palms, which create an almost tropical atmosphere. But the heart of Waldo's world, the source of the fabled elixir of sleep, lies hidden beyond a plain wooden door at the back of the shop. Only those who know what to ask for can enter this sacred place. Inside, rare plants Waldo's closest kept secrets thrive under his careful cultivation. A night-blooming jasmine releases its sweet fragrance into the air. Beside it, an ancient valerian plant stretches its roots into the soil, and along the walls hops vines climb, their flowers ready to be harvested and brewed into one of the elixirs. Now, Waldo, with a flask in hand, prepares to gather the essence of these plants. But before he does, he simply stands in his little shop, closes his eyes, and breathes in this moment, breathing in the sense of the shop around him and breathing out any unwanted tension. Waldo loves this place. He appreciates every moment spent here. The process of collecting the essence is a quiet ritual, a kind of dance of appreciation between the wizard and his botanical charges. Each step, from the gentle plucking of a flower to the careful distillation of its essence, is performed with a reverence that transforms the mundane into the magical. As he works, surrounded by the plants he loves, Waldo feels a contentment that only comes from knowing he's about to add a bit of magic into the world. Tonight, as he does every night, he will craft his elixir in readiness for the next person who might come and seek his wisdom. And funnily enough, just as he's thinking that it's been a while since he's had a visitor, the little bell above the shop door tinkles, announcing the arrival of one such visitor. Waldo looks up from his work, a mixture of surprise and curiosity lighting up his face. The door creaks open to reveal a small old woman, her coat drenched from the rain, a woolen scarf wrapped tightly around her neck. In her eyes there is a look of determination or perhaps tiredness that speaks of someone in dire need of sleep. She moves slowly around the shop, her gaze lingering on the greenery that fills every nook and cranny. Each plant she passes seems to lean towards her, as if offering comfort. After a few moments of silent wandering, she approaches Waldo. Her voice, when she speaks, is soft but clear, carrying through the quiet shop. I've come for the elixir, she says, the words hanging in the air between them like a secret long forgotten. Waldo's surprise is palpable. Many years have passed since anyone last came seeking one of the elixirs of sleep. He studies the old woman for a moment, taking in her stooped shoulders and the tired lines etched on her face. How did you hear about my elixirs? He asks, his tone a mix of curiosity and caution. She smiles, a faint, wistful thing that doesn't quite reach her weary eyes. My grandmother told me when I was but a girl, she says. She said there was a wizard in a plant shop who could brew sleep in a bottle. I didn't believe her until now, until... Her voice trails off, but there's no need for her to finish. Waldo understands all too well the toll of her tiredness. Nodding slowly, he gestures for her to follow him. Then you have indeed come to the right place, he says, leading her towards the back of the shop. The wooden door, plain and unassuming, stands before them. As they approach, Waldo can't help but feel a stirring of something long dormant anticipation, perhaps, or the simple joy of sharing his gift. The old woman's presence, her belief in the stories of her grandmother, bridged the gap between past and present, reminding Waldo of the deep, enduring power of his elixir. He pushes the door open, revealing the room beyond. This space is cozy, intimate, lit by the soft glow of lanterns hanging from the low ceiling. The walls are lined with shelves, each one filled with jars and bottles of varying shapes and sizes. The air in this room is so soothing, the old lady feels instant calm just by being there. She tells Waldo that her little dog has been barking a lot lately, and because of this, she hasn't been sleeping. Waldo nods with kind understanding. It feels like these two are friends who have never met, and she feels very welcome and safe in the wizard's plant shop. In the center of the room stands a small wooden table, its surface worn smooth by years of use. Beside it, a pair of comfortable chairs invite them to sit to share in the ritual of the elixir preparation. Waldo guides the woman to one of the chairs, offering her a seat with a kind smile. As she settles in, her eyes roam the room, taking in the details. The way the lantern light flickers against the glass jars, the gentle sound of the rain tapping outside, and the warmth of the room, which adds to the coziness. Waldo moves to a small cabinet, opening its doors to reveal an array of ingredients, each one integral to creating this particular elixir of sleep. With practiced hands, he selects what he needs, bringing them to the table where a small, delicate bottle awaits. He works silently, but with a sense of reverence for the task at hand, mixing, grinding, and pouring with a precision born of decades of experience. The old woman watches, mesmerized by the wizard's meticulous process. There's a magic here, not just in the creation of her elixir, but in the care with which Waldo handles each component, the respect he shows for the ingredients, and the process alike. Finally, Waldo holds up the bottle, now filled with a liquid that will help the old lady in ways she could never imagine. He passes it to the woman, his eyes meeting hers. Take this, he says, and may it bring you the peace you seek. Give a little bit to the little dog as well. It won't do him any harm. The woman accepts the bottle, her hands trembling slightly with a mix of anticipation and gratitude. Thank you, she whispers, the words barely audible but heavy with meaning. She bids good night to Waldo and leaves the little plant shop. Sometime later, on another rainy night, the bell above the door chimes softly as a new visitor steps into Waldo's plant shop. This time, it's a young man, his clothes splattered with paint, his eyes alight with a creative fire. He moves through the plant shop, his gaze darting around, taking in the lush greenery that fills the space. There's an intensity to him, kind that comes from nights spent chasing the elusive perfection of art, from hours lost in the flow of creation. He approaches Waldo, who has looked up from his work, always ready to welcome another soul into his haven. I've heard you're some kind of a wizard of sleep, the young artist says. I need something to keep me awake. The night is when I come alive, when my best work comes to life, but my body, it craves sleep, and I can't afford to lose the inspiration when it strikes. Waldo, the wizard, studies him for a moment, seeing not just the artist before him, but the countless others who have sought to push beyond their natural limits. For the sake of their passion, you seek to bend the night to your will, Waldo muses, a hint of a smile playing at his lips. But perhaps what you need is not to ward off sleep, but to find a balance that lets your creativity flourish without burning out your spirit. The artist looks skeptical, but there's a part of him, perhaps the part worn down by restless nights, that is willing to listen. Waldo gestures for him to follow, leading him deeper into the shop, past the familiar greenery and into the heart of his mystical world. They step into the cozy room at the back. The elixir of sleep. But this time, Waldo heads to a different set of shelves, his finger trailing over the jars and bottles until they settle on a particular one. This, he says, holding out a small vial filled with a liquid that seems to pulse with its own light, is not to keep you awake, but to help you harness the power of your dreams. Drink this before you rest and let your mind wander the landscapes of your imagination. You may find that the visions you see in your sleep fuel your artistry than any forced wakefulness could. The young artist takes the vial, curiosity overcoming his initial resistance. There's a part of him apart that believes in the magic of creation, that wonders if perhaps this wizard of sleep holds the key to unlocking new depths in his art. Thank you, he says, his voice carrying a new note of hope. As he turns to leave, vial in hand, he feels a lightness that he hasn't known in a long while. Perhaps tonight he will discover the true source of his creativity nestled within the dreams that await him. On another night, on yet another rainy evening, the door to Waldo's plant shop opens to admit a new visitor. She appears to be a businesswoman, her sharp attire and brisk manner marking her as someone more accustomed to the boardroom than a quaint plant shop. Even as she steps inside, her eyes remain glued to the screen of her phone, fingers swiping incessantly. Waldo observes her from his place among the plants, noting the way she barely glances at the greenery surrounding her. Her attention is captured entirely by the digital world in her hands. It's a scene he's become all too familiar with, the modern malady of constant connection. The woman seems reluctant to speak, but then approaches Waldo. I was told to come here, she says. They said you could help me. She seems lost and in need of healing. Waldo approaches, his demeanor calm. He knows that he can help her. The need for rest is something we all share, Waldo tells her, even those who sometimes think they've risen above such earthly concerns. The mind, like the body, needs time to recover, to dream, to wander paths not found on any screen. The woman briefly looks at Waldo. There's a flicker of something, exhaustion perhaps, or the faintest glimmer of recognition that his words hold truth. With a motion for her to follow, he leads her towards the back of the shop, to the room that has seen the beginnings of many journeys towards rest and rejuvenation. The woman sits down, still occasionally glancing at her phone, but the cozy room seems to soften her and she begins to notice what is around her. The beauty and calm of this place are starting to show her another path. She breathes in this moment, in and out. Now Waldo selects a different concoction, one designed not just to induce sleep, but to gently wean the mind from its addiction to ceaseless stimuli. This, he explains, handing her a bottle with a liquid that catches the light, is to help you disconnect, to remind your mind of the peace that comes from simply being. The businesswoman accepts the bottle, her expression one of skepticism mixed with a weary hope. Perhaps somewhere beneath the layers of cynicism and stress, she longs for the escape that Waldo, the wizard, offers for a night free from the glow of her screen and the weight of her responsibilities. Thank you, she says, and for the first time since she entered, her words carry a hint of genuine gratitude. As she leaves the shop, bottle in hand, there's a pause in her step, a momentary hesitation that suggests she might just be ready to rediscover the restorative power of sleep. As the little village settles into the deep silence of the night, rain still tapping against window panes, we turn our gaze to the homes of those whose lives have been touched by Waldo and our story. The old woman, her loyal dog now silent beside her bed, lies in a peaceful slumber. The elixir has worked its magic, and for the first time in many nights, both she and her companion rest deeply. In her dreams, she walks through sunlit fields, her steps light, her heart unburdened by the weariness of sleepless nights. They cross the village in a small attic room filled with canvases and paint. The young artist sleeps with a serene expression. The vial's contents have guided him to a wonderful place, where his imagination soars without bounds. His dreams are vivid and are bringing a whole new element of life to his creative existence. Not far away, the businesswoman experiences a quiet unlike any she's known in recent memory. Her phone lies forgotten, its screen dark, as she journeys through a landscape of dreams, a landscape of peace. And above the little plant shop, in a room that smells faintly of earth and growth, Waldo himself sleeps, surrounded by the gentle presence of his plants, his constant friends. He sleeps the contented sleep of one who has spent his days in the service of others. His dreams are simple reflections of the quiet joy he finds in his daily and nightly communion with the natural world and all of his friends, the plants.